Let's work on a wedding cake together. So this was an orange poppy seed cake with whipped cream and poppy seeds in between the layers. These are parents' cakes or gift cakes, as we like to call them. And there was 2 pieces, so that's what I started working with. The bride wanted a semi-naked cake or a semi-naked look, but I also had freedom to do whatever I wanted. But since most of the cakes she sent me were all semi-naked, that's what I chose to work with. And funny enough, ever since I started doing wedding cakes 10 years ago, I have always met with the bride or at least a representative of the bride. But this was the first time all communication had been done on WhatsApp. We hadn't even had one phone call together. We just sent each other all the information that we needed. She made her payment, sent me the contact for the person I'd meet at the venue, and everything just ran smoothly. For the main cake, the centerpiece, the cake was meant to be pina colada and chocolate. So for the top tier, I had to mix pina colada with chocolate, because for the bottom tier I did plain pina colada, the middle tier I did plain chocolate. So for the top tier I had to mix both flavors. But funny enough, I didn't think these 2 flavors would ever blend. But then I remembered Bounty chocolate is a mix of pineapple and coconut. Oh no, wait, wrong. Chocolate and coconut. So I told myself, we add pineapple to pizza and we like it, so pineapple to chocolate must also go well together. And it actually did turn out to be a very good flavor combo. And for my cake boards, I always use ganache if it's a wedding cake that I'm not transporting too far. I like to stick the layers together. And I also dowel at this point instead of waiting for when I'm packing, so that the cakes just chill. Now that the cakes are ready, on the next day after they've sat in the fridge overnight, I pack my items. So I have 2 boxes. The first box, I have all the items that are non-breakable, and that would be the wine stand, serviettes for the couple to use, regular serviettes for me to use, some scissors, some gloves, toothpicks, wet wipes, ganache so that I'm able to stack up my cake, several spatulas, extra cream, and a cake serving set, including water and a cloth for me to be able to wipe my hands if any messes are made. The hot water is so that I can be able to use the ganache, because by the time I get to the venue it will be set. In my second box there is shredded paper so that I can be able to protect my items from breakage, and in the second box I'll have the non-alcoholic wine, a serving plate, wine glasses, and the cake topper because that usually breaks so easily. And obviously I forgot to pack some forks, but I did buy them while heading to the venue. Since I let my cakes sit overnight in the fridge, they weren't going to be so hard to work on because they are completely set, and because they were 2 identical giveaway cakes, I only filmed one. So first thing I'll do is add ganache to my presentation board and then place my cake, then add my assortment of flowers. For this wedding I was using white and pink roses, white mums, green mums, eucalyptus, and baby's breath. Then I added clear or acetate wrap for the cake boxish thing and its cover. Then lastly, all I had to do was add matching ribbon. The ribbon is meant to be same color as the wedding decor, and these are the colors the bride asked me to use: champagne gold and black, so that they can match her decor. When going for weddings, I like to use a car that has a wide enough boot so that none of my items have to be squeezed anywhere. And the first thing I'll do is add an unslip mat, because these clear boxes are much smoother at the bottom, so they might slip out. And then I'll add all the other cakes that I have to carry, starting with the biggest one to the smallest one. Then I'll load up my boxes that have everything that I needed to carry and my cake stands toward the door of the boot, so as to ensure nothing slips out, especially if I end up parking at a hilly place. I don't usually attend site visits, and thus placing the heavier items towards the door, I know that nothing will slip off easily and they won't slide into my cake. Anything that doesn't fit in the boot, like the flowers or any other items I need to carry, I will load up to the back seat. And I always make sure that the last thing I do is load up the car so that nothing is melting as I'm getting ready. Now that everything is ready, let me tell you the story of what transpired once I left my house. I always like to give myself enough time to be late, to get lost, etc. So when you tell me a certain time to arrive by, I try my best to be there 30 to 15 minutes early, just so that I make sure I was still on time. So I did ask the bride, what time do you need me there? And she said 1 p.m. When you tell me 1 p.m, my next question is, do you need me to set up by 1 or to be there by 1? She told me to be there by 1, and that means I can set up anytime after that. Then I asked her, is the church, since it's a garden wedding, is the church venue and the reception area going to be the same? She said no, or maybe I misunderstood the conversation, but I expected to have like a separate place to be setting up while they were having the church service. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. When I got there, the lady who was doing the deco tells me I can't set up yet because the place where the cake is supposed to go is where the bride and groom need to get in through. So I can't set up before they do that. And since I usually carry my main cake unassembled, I had no choice but to do it in the car, because at this point I have very few minutes, or so I thought. I just have a little bit of time to set up, because they were telling me to set up during the church service. And if you know me, you know I hate working in front of people, especially in front of a crowd. And also, I would feel so guilty while people are praying and singing and worshiping, and I'm just there busy working, trying to lift a cake. I'd feel so guilty while doing that. So I opted to just finish up the cake in the car, and thank God my car is big enough for me to be able to do that. And so it was really nerve-wracking, but also thank God our help was there with me that day. Something had told me the day before to just ask her if she'd be willing to take me, and she agreed. So when we went, at least I had someone to help me with the setup. Like when I was stacking up the cakes, since I'm doing it in the car, I don't have that much wiggle room to like do stuff like walk around the cake and place the flowers. So she was watching from the back seat so that I was able to comfortably place everything where it needs to go. And also when I was stacking, she's the one who was holding my spatula for me so that I can be able to place the cake more gently, because this is a whipping cream cake, and with whipping cream, if you just touch it once, it does mess up, and I didn't want my cake with fingerprints. And also one more thing, there was no place for me to go wash my hands and run back, because now I'm working in the car. I can't keep slamming the boot and opening it back out and whatnot. So I had to keep changing gloves, and also that's the reason why I say I prefer to wash my hands and wear gloves, because you keep changing them after every step, and that's really unnecessary in my opinion, but it's more hygienic to change after every step. But yes, so I had to finish up the cake to match the gift cakes in the car, and as you can see, the sun was really shining, and I was parked under a tree, or was it a shade? But I was under a tree, but it was a really sunny day. So despite me being under, I remember even having to switch on the car and leave the AC on so that there's at least cool air flowing in the car. But unfortunately, it was just way too warm for a day, and then I'm doing this while in the car. And because I had doweled my cake from home, the layers were definitely holding, but at the end you're going to see that some of the cream had started to bulge because it was starting to melt. And luckily this was a whipped cream cake. If this was a buttercream cake, I don't think it would have made it out of the car. But in the end, this was a lesson learned. Now I know better. I know which questions to ask next time if I'm going for a garden wedding. I will definitely be specific with my questions. Instead of asking, can I be setting up while you guys are in service, I will definitely ask, is where I'll be setting up the cake the same spot as where you guys will be having the service, like the same exact spot. That way I know to come at a later time with the cake already fully assembled, because I had to ask for help from others. But all in all, it did turn out very beautiful. My bride really loved what I came up with. I really liked it myself, and there it is in all its glory. I had to take photos in the car and ask the photographer for help later, and it looked really good. I loved it, she loved it, so I'm grateful for this experience. And there I am looking awkward with my cake in the car. And that's it, that's all for this one. Bye.